Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. I'd like to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can begin the second canto. And please, Srila Prabhupada, who worked so hard translating this incredible scripture. And of course, we're only doing an overview, but at the same time, many devotees are also reading it, so which is very, very encouraging. So, I'd like to seek the blessings of Guru Maharaj, without whose grace nothing is possible, and we endeavor to please through the Guru Parampara, the divine couple, Radha Krishna and Krishna Balaram and Gaunitai. So, second canto, first chapter. We just want to do a very quick overview of the first canto. So,
the sages of Naimsharanya ask questions of Sutta Goswami, which he answers. Sutta gives details of 22 incarnations, and Krishna is stated to be the source of all avatars. Then Narad guides Vyasadeva to glorify Krishna and gives an account of his own life. The Lord saves Parikshit, and Queen Kunti offers wonderful prayers. Bhishma instructs Yudhishthira and leaves his body in presence of Krishna. Yudhishthira's devotional rule is described, after which Krishna returns to Dwarka, where he is so respectful to his elders. Parikshit's astrological predictions about his qualities makes Yudhishthira happy. Vidur returns to Hastinapur and preaches to Dhritarashtra, who leaves home and achieves perfection. Yudhishthira sees bad omens, and Arjuna returns from Dwarka, dejected and defeated, and informs the king of Krishna's departure for the spiritual world. Yudhishthira also decides to go back to Godhead, as do his brothers and wives. Kali breaks 3 legs of Dharma, the bull, and unearth, the cow. I was sad that Krishna has left the planet. Parikshit threatens Kali, who surrenders and is allowed to stay in certain places, including gold. Parikshit insults Samika Rishi, and his son curses Parikshit to die in 7 days. So Parikshit gives up all attachments and heads for the Ganga, where Sukdev comes to instruct him.
oh, the suspense. Okay, now we're moving on to the second canto. This is one of the verses we wanted to recite with everybody.
Antakale tu purusha, agate gata sada vasha, chinyad asanga shastrena, spriham dehe anuye chatam. At the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death, but one must cut off all attachment to the material body and everything pertaining to it and all desires thereof.
I can safely and conclusively say that I'm halfway there. One should be bold enough. So that bit I've got. I've got that bit.
Sorry.
Thank you, Jayanti. Not to be afraid of death. That could be a little harder. And one must cut off all attachments. Well, Krishna is doing a great job of that anyway.
I thought, Nabi, that would be easier.
What was that? You're not afraid of death.
Not to be afraid of death.
Now the bold is
death is going to come anyway. So and luckily for us, Yamraj is a devotee of the Supreme Lord. So
let's hope.
Invite him.
Let's hope I'm a devotee of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, first of all, I'm trying to. Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, we are on the journey.
Yeah.
But before that, this cutting off these desires is a tough one.
Yeah. And the attachments. But Krishna is very kind. He's cutting them out one by one. Nani?
Yeah, two thoughts rather. It's happy that we will not go through the Yamraj path when it comes to collectors, because we are Krishna's devotees, from what I've understood. The second thing, which for me is attachment, is not a problem, cutting off attachment, but it is the getting rid of what you have already collected. already amassed over the years of your life.
Is getting rid of everything that you've collected over the
And
years.
you've collected your house, your possessions. That is the problem for me, yes.
It's a lot of baggage, is it?
Baggage, yes. How to
But
get rid of
Mataji,
it.
we can relieve you of all of that, no problem.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You want to, obviously you want to make provision for those loved ones.
Yes.
And actually, ultimately, those possessions will definitely go anyway. You can't take them with you. So now is a good time to plan. How do I, who do I want to, take care of in the future so that, they're comfortable, materially speaking. So in that way, you
All
become.
the items in the house, Prabhuji, it's not finance, is all the items, the books and the clothes and
Yeah.
my goodness, and all the utensils in the kitchen and so.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yes.
Maybe we need a session on on a special seminar how to get rid of our utensils.
Get rid of this worldly
We need a lesson in how not to hoard.
It's true. I was thinking about that myself this weekend because I got so many books. I was thinking, will they ever be used? Will they be useful to anybody? Luckily, I gave about 200 books to Mayapur, so they're using them in their library. But I got so many books. But I know exactly what you mean, Naniben and Kamakshi.
Yeah.
So let's make it.
Time from my husband, stop hoarding. And then sometimes when he wants something and I go and look for it and get it and say, there you are. I say, you didn't have to go to the shop again.
Yeah, that's true as well. So first chapter is called the first step in God realization. So this is where Shukadev Goswami begins his discussions with Parikshit Maharaj. He congratulates Parikshit Maharaj for asking such a glorious question. And does anybody remember what the question was?
Second part of the question is what is the duty of one who is about to die?
Yeah, that was good enough. That's good enough.
They pass.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you don't have to stand in the corner. Those who are materially engrossed are busy in sleeping, sex life, making money, or maintaining relatives should hear, chant, remember and worship. However, the highest perfection of human life is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. This can be achieved by constant chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So Sukadev Goswami is straight away guiding Parikshit Maharaj how one should pass away. Remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How do you do it? Constant chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Sukadev Goswami urged Parikshit to use his remaining time wisely. And this applies to us as well, of course, as did King Katvanga. King Katvanga, very interesting pastime. He was a very powerful king. And one time the demigods were fighting with the demons and they came to earth and they requested the help of King Katvanga because he was so powerful. So the king fought the battle with the demigods and they defeated the demons. The demigods asked King Katvanga, what would you like as a benediction? And the king replied, I want to go back to Godhead. I want salvation from this material world. And they said, no, we can't give you that. We're not authorized to give you that, but ask for something else. So King Katvanga, very, very intelligent. He said, when will my life end? And the demigods replied, in 24 minutes, you have one murta to live. The king said, take me back to earth straight away. They took him back. That took half a murta, 12 minutes. Because it took 1 moment, but 1 moment in demigod time is quite a long time for us. He was back on earth in 12 minutes. For the rest of his life, 12 minutes, He sat cross-legged, completely focused on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he achieved perfection. He achieved the spiritual world. So, of course, we don't know, we don't get any notice, which is, for us, not good news. King Katvanga had some notice. We don't get any notice, and that's why it's very important to use all of our time as much as we can properly in the service of the Lord. As did King Katvanga, who attained self-realization within a moment. What is the value of a prolonged life which is wasted? Better a moment of full consciousness, because that gives one a start in searching after the supreme interest. At the last stage of life, one must be bold. One should leave home, focus on Om, control the mind whilst meditating on Vishnu. So that's a very interesting advice from verses 12 to 21. Parikshit inquired, how can the mind be applied so that the dirty things are removed? Sukadev Goswami replies that one should sit and breathe properly and apply the mind with intelligence to the Virat Rup, the universal form of the Lord. Now, why does he straight away go to the universal form? This is very instructive that actually the Lord is great. The whole of this universe is actually part of the Lord. And he then describes a little description of the universe. Oh, hang on a sec. Patalok, the lower planets, are like the feet of the Lord. The Mahital are the hips. The Bur, where we are,
Chest.
the chest. Mahalok is the neck. Janaslok is the mouth. Tapalok is the forehead, and his head is the Satyalok. So in this way, he describes the universe as part of the Supreme Person, the universal form, which we were learning in this first canto, and very nicely Chitra questioned us on it, that it's actually illusionary form, it doesn't exist in the spiritual world. So next section. Demigods headed by Indra are his arms, the 10 directional sides are his ears, the sun as the power of seeing eyeballs, the day and night eyelids, the director of water Varun, his palate, the jaws of teeth, Yamraj, god of death, who punishes the sinners. The art of affection is his set of teeth, and his most alluring illusory material energy is his smile. Modesty is a proportion of his lips. Hankering is his chin. Religion is the breast of the Lord, and irreligion is his back. Very interesting how Shukadeva is describing the universal form of the Lord, which is also called the Vishwarup. The rivers are his veins, the trees are his hair, day and night his dress, wild animals his belt, the birds his artistic sense, the Brahmanas his face, Kshatriyas his arms, Vaishyas his thighs, Shudra are protected by his feet. One who desires liberation must concentrate on this form of the Lord. So he's focusing on this to ensure that we realize that the Lord is everywhere, is present everywhere in this world, and he's great. So he's trying to put that understanding firmly into our intelligence. One should concentrate his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations, just as ordinary persons create thousands of manifestations in dreams. One must concentrate the mind on him, the only all blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation. Okay, so that's chapter 1. Are there any questions arising from chapter 1?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Naniben?
Yes. Why is the universal form called an illusory form when all these Patal, Burlok, Satyalok, they are all around? So why is it called an illusion?
Because it
Illusory
doesn't,
form rather.
yeah, it's not eternal. It's
Okay.
temporary. It's
It's not
temporary.
eternal.
It's
It's
temporary.
temporary.
It's temporary. That's right.
Okay, okay.
That's why it's called illusory. And that will be a little bit more clearer in the next part as well, I think. But yeah, that's why it's considered illusory. It's not.
Oh, illusion,
Although,
understood, yes. As in
although
Bhagavad, they say that this life, the material life, is an illusion in that way.
in that way, yeah, because it's
Understood.
temporary.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank
In
you.
one sense, you're absolutely right. It is real. Absolutely, you're right. It is real. But at the same time, because it's temporary, it's regarded as illusion. Does that make sense?
Is this the same universal form that's described in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna?
No, it's similar.
It's like
Similar.
similar, isn't it?
Similar, yeah. Yeah. But in that one, Arjun saw, the the soldiers being chewed
Yeah.
up. Right? So it was a little different. Yeah, a little different. Naniben, is that okay?
Yes, fine. Illusory, understood. Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for asking. Thank you. Very good. Okay, let's look at, can't remember which verse number this is. I've forgotten. But this is an incredible verse. Let's see if we can recite the Sanskrit. Chirani kim patina shanti dishanti bhaksham naivan griyapa paraprata sarito abhishusham rudaguya kimajito vati avati, sorry, no pasanam kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhana turmadandhanam.
Are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer give alms in charity? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth?
Karuna Banda, you're on the ball, huh? 225, this is very good. So Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 5. Thank you for that.
I have the database in front of me.
Excellent, well done. No, thank you for that. I must remember to put it on before I send it out. Good. This is an incredible verse, incredible verse. Does the Almighty not protect the fully surrendered souls? Do we have faith? The things before is Sukadev is just giving examples that, we're trying to look after our own maintenance, etc. But have we got no faith in the Supreme Lord? Won't He protect those who are fully surrendered to Him? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth? I remember when we used to go out to collect money to do the magazine for the temple, the shopkeepers or whoever used to visit, it was always very challenging. And occasionally I used to use the line, actually, don't think we're beggars. We haven't come because we want anything from you. We come to give you some opportunity to serve. And it sometimes used to work. Sometimes people used to give us donations, but it always made them laugh anyway. So, but it's true. We're not beggars. We have the richest personality ever. There will be nobody richer than the Lord. So he's our Father. He's going to look after anything that we need. So we don't have to worry. Sukadeva Goswami stresses, so this chapter is called The Lord in the Heart. And the first, and a little bit here, Naniben, similar to what we were talking about a little bit, detachment in the world of names. Sukadeva Goswami stresses detachment from fruitive work by refraining from over-endeavor in this world of names. Now, that's a little difficult to understand. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, The whole material creation is a jugglery of names only. In fact, it is nothing but a bewildering creation of matter like earth, water, and fire. The buildings, furniture, cars, bungalows, mills, factories, industries, peace, war, or even the highest perfection of material science, namely atomic energy and electronics, are all simply bewildering names of material elements with their concomitant reactions of the three modes. Effectively, what Prabhupada is saying, as I understand it, is that everything is temporary. It will all turn to dust at some point. So it's just names. It's just names. So that's quite a, from the point of view of time, time destroys everything. So we are running after things which are actually just names in the end of the day. And then that verse we quoted is such an incredible, are there no clothes lying in the common road? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer give alms in charity? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth? Very, very nice verse. Process of meditation from verses 8 to 14. The process of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves and the thighs. In this way, higher and higher, the more the mind becomes fixed upon the different parts of the limbs, one after the other, the more the intelligence becomes purified. So when we take darshan of the deities, when we go to the temple, we start with the lotus feet and we slowly, 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 slowly move up. We don't just go and look at the face straight away. I remember years and years ago, there was a devotee called Kapil, and we went to the manor. And after having darshan of the deity, I said to him, wow, beautiful outfits and beautiful deities. And he said to me, I'm still looking at the lotus feet. So that was quite eye-opening. So when we go to the deities, we start with the lotus feet and we slowly, limb by limb, go up to eventually to the face, to his beautiful smile. Next few verses deal with leaving the material body. When the yogi desires to leave, he should not be perplexed about the time and place. Sit comfortably and through meditation, push the life air up from the navel to the heart and then the chest and then further to the top of the head. He controls the senses and meditates on the supersoul in the heart and should then reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme. So what is the cerebral hole? Cerebral hole. There's a soft part on our top of our head, just slightly below the very top of our head. So it's a little soft. We don't want to press too hard there. So the yogi, he can push the soul up all the way. He can push himself all the way up to that part and burst out from the top of that, from the top of the head. And there is instances of this happening. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave instance of his grandfather passing away in this way. Did Guru Maharaj give? No, thought he had. So very interesting, very powerful souls can do this. And as we were reading in the Bhagavad Gita, that if we leave from the two bottom holes, the 9 holes that we have in our body, openings, if we leave from bottom 2, that's not good. The other parts is fine. But the yogi, he will try to take himself up to the top of the head and leave the body that way. On the way to Brahmlok, the Bhakti yogi passes over the Milky Way to the circle of Sisumara, which is the navel of Lord Vishnu. He finally attains Satyalok, where there is no death, fear or death. At the end, he goes beyond the coverings of the elements to associate with the Supreme Personality Godhead in the spiritual world. Only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with the personality of Godhead in complete bliss and satisfaction in his constitutional state. Whoever is able to renovate such devotional perfection is never again attracted by this material world, and he never returns. So just a little idea. I think we're familiar, most devotees will be familiar with this Gokul chart. This is the spiritual world. This is Golok Vrindavan. This is Vaikuntha. This is our world, the material world, which is a very small portion of total creation, less than a quarter. And, oh yeah. And this is that material creation. This is just one universe. There's millions and millions of universes. And this is Lord Brahma. He's lying.
No.
Sorry, Lord
Garbhodaksha
Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Sorry, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Thank you. Yeah. And from his lotus, the navel, the lotus flower appears, and on top of which Lord Brahma manifests himself. Now, there's a few interesting things here. This is Kshirodakshay Vishnu, Shvetadvip. So the Lord has a residence in our own world. It's called Shvetadvip. It's not part of our, it's like an embassy. Like the US has or the Bharat has an embassy here. It's not part of the UK, it's part of Bharat. And anything they do, they're not subjected to the laws of the UK. They're subject to the laws of India, Bharat. So in the same way, this is an embassy of the Supreme Lord in this material world. And that is actually, let's just go to the next. That is actually the Sishumara, or it's in that area. It's in that area. So the yogi will transport himself there, and from there go through these coverings. Now, if devotees recall, these coverings are each 10 times bigger than the next one. So these coverings are huge, and there's lots of temptations in these coverings. There's heaven, there's life lived here much, much more opulently than the heavens. So if any temptation, if we get tempted by any of the opulences here, we stay there. So the yogi, he keeps his eyes closed and his focus, oh yeah, here it is, sorry. The focus completely on the spiritual kingdom, and he passes through all these heavy coverings. And this is just a little flavor of what's going to come later in the 5th canto. We've got a long way to go yet. But this is a little bit, this is part of this Shishumara. And there in the 5th canto, it gives us a little bit different concept of our world, which we will talk through when we get there. Attraction for Krishna. After scrutinizing the Vedas 3 times, Lord Brahma understood that attraction for the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion. So Brahma read it 3 times, the Vedas. And Brahma is the most intelligent living entity in this world. Therefore, every human being should hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord always and everywhere, to go back to Godhead, to the Lord's lotus feet. So that's the end of the 2nd canto.
2nd chapter.
2nd chapter. 2nd canto. Any questions on that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah.
No.
Living the way via the concentrating on your, withdrawing all your senses and then immediately rising and leave the body through the cerebral hole, is that something which is done by the yogis, or rather than by the devotional or services or bhakta of Krishna?
Right. Very nice question. Bhaktas don't care.
Hare Krishna, that was my question. So thank you. I was going to ask the question.
Okay, thank you.
Very nice. Thank you.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Now here, this part, Sukadeva Goswami is actually explaining to Maharaj Parikshit the path taken by the mystic yogis.
Mm.
And they're actually within this material world that can actually make it all the way up to Satyalok and Brahmalok. And the duration of life there is amazingly millions and millions of years. You know, I couldn't make out the figure. It says 15 trillion. Anyway,
15 trillion, yeah.
And I couldn't make out the word. But that's for the mystic yogis who want to attain that kind of siddhi. And that's the process of Ashtanga Yoga, where then they learn, how to rise their soul from the different chakras all the way up to the head, and from there you can burst out and go all the way to wherever they want to actually. And he will describe that some of these mystic yogis, like is it Durvasa Muni, who can travel around the material world. Can he actually go to the spiritual world? I'm not sure. Narad Muni can actually. He goes to the spiritual world and the material world.
Someone went to the spiritual world. Remember when he was being chased by Sudarshan?
That's right. Yeah, so he can actually make it throughout the universe and all that. Within a year, he can traverse all over the universe, and which is amazing. Some of these mystic yogis can attain this kind of siddhis. And in a way, these are all siddhis, like perfection, like mystic yoga, like Brahma. He's been given a siddhi to create the whole universe, in fact. So, when we say the other people are creative, they got little siddhis, like, yogis attain different kind of siddhis, but, these are all kind of distractions in a way for a bhakta, for a devotee. We don't want to get stuck into one of these layers of the universe, and then spend millions of years there and then come back to the human form. And so and the other process that's actually, which is called Dharana Shraya, the advanced devotees. So those that are not able to this kind of mystic yogis, but then better than that is actually the worship of the Supreme Lord in the heart, isn't it? Is that the third part, or is it?
Yeah.
The Lord in the heart, yeah. So the other process is where you actually meditate on the Supreme Lord in your heart.
Yeah, this is where it's stated that meditate on the Supreme Lord in the heart and should reach the cerebral whole. So that same yogi can do the same. And
he can do the same.
Can go to the Supreme. But I think Dani Ben's question is, do the bhaktas have to do the same? No, because they are really dependent on the Supreme Lord. They're not worried about where even the soul is in their body. They're not worried where they are because they're just focused on bhakti.
But what is amazing is that in this description, Sukadeva Goswami is not leaving anything out. He's actually giving everything to Parikshit so that he is not, going to get distracted anywhere, so he can achieve the ultimate, which is, Krishna Prema. But, here we are getting a glimpse of the material universes as well, and the spiritual universes, and what the yogis and Brahmalok and different siddhis and all that. But sometimes, we think we just rely on what the scientists do, scientists say, in our science books. But Prabhupada actually kind of explains very clearly that their knowledge is not complete. And then we have to take the authorities of the Vedas, where it's described, like you say, there is something called a Maharlok and a Brahmalok and Shisumar, and which is actually, like where the stops are for the yogis, Yeah.
Okay, Naniben?
Yes, it's very true. I think what Prabhuji said, that they're trying to accommodate to all different types of people in this material world, including the yogis, our bhakta, etc. So that's a good explanation. Thank you.
And you understand from the Bhakta point of view.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. Mataji?
Yes. Can I say something?
Mhm.
I think some yogis, what they do, they take the stairs. They go through different kind of yogas, as Astanga yoga and the dhyana and whatever. But devotees, they don't go through the stairs. They take the elevator to get the Guru's mercy, and they climb directly. That is
Very
what
good.
it is.
Yeah, that's a very nice point. And we covered that in the Bhagavad Gita, the staircase, which is
Yes.
the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Stanga Yoga, and then ultimately Bhakti Yoga. But then
So
does avoid all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but if we have the Guru as an elevator, why do we have to go through the stairs?
Mm.
We just go direct, right?
Yeah, nice.
Like for the time being, you are the Guru of everyone, so you're taking us through the path now
Ah,
in the elevator.
I can't even control myself, let alone.
No, you are holding our hand and taking us to the elevator, so
No.
we'll go straight, isn't it?
You're already in that elevator. So thank you for sharing that, Maji.
Yeah. I'd made some notes, and actually it said that, the yogis, there are two kind of yogis, one is a little bit more advanced, and he's actually more detached. And the other one is a bit more attached to his desires, Both of them desires, but one has slightly less desires. So he starts to worship the Paramatma within, and then he goes to Dhyan and Samadhi, and they achieve the Brahman realization. And then, but they have to go up to the Brahman realization, really. But then they have to pierce through the layers of the Pradhan, which will be explained later on. And they both have to try and to get into the spiritual world is still, difficult. But the other yogi who has desires is actually more attached, he's got attachment to his desires. And then he's obviously he goes through all these different lokas, which you mentioned, Brahma Lok and the Mahar Lok and all these different layers. So there are different types of yogis actually as well.
That's good. Thank you. Very good. It's a very good interaction. I really like that. Madhusudan Prabhu, Indulekha Mataji, Nani Ben, thank you so much. So we can start the third chapter. And this is another incredible verse. Akama sarva akmova moksha kama udharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param.
A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead.
What a verse. Sukadeva Goswami is basically saying, well, if you have lots of desires, if you have no desires, or if you want to go back to Godhead, in all of these circumstances, just worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very, very nice. So now, Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami starts by saying, I've told you, I've answered you, but let me give you a little bit more detail. I've answered you what you should do at the time of death, right? Sit peacefully, think of the Supreme Lord. But then Sukadeva Goswami, I put Sutta, it should be Sukadev Goswami, gave a comprehensive list of the demigods and the powerful living entities one can worship for attaining a specific goal. So for example, he's saying if one wants wealth, one can worship Durga. If we want great progeny, Prajapatis can be worshipped. If you want to be very powerful, you can worship Agni. If you want money, you can worship the Vasus. If you want to be a great hero, you can worship Rudra, the incarnation of Shiva, like that, and so on. He gives lots of different devatas for specific goals if one has material desires to fulfill. Ultimately, however, whether one is full of material desires, desires liberation, or has no desires, one should worship Supreme Personality Godhead. So that's what Sukadeva Goswami advises, because he is the ultimate authority in awarding benedictions. Only the Lord can award benedictions. So whatever the demigods give, It's by the grace of the Lord. Only through association of Lord's pure devotees can one attain the supreme benediction, which is spontaneous attraction to the Lord. So only the pure devotees, if we are with them and associating with them, will get this. This is achieved by simplifying one's life, getting rid of the baggage, and concentrating on topics of discussion of the personality of Godhead in the company of great devotees. Very powerful 12 verses of the third canto, first 12 verses of the, third chapter of the second canto. And what happens if we're discussing non-Krishna katha? Shonak Rishi requests Sutta Goswami, because Shonak Rishi asks a really interesting question of Sutta. Why are they still discussing? Because Parikshit is very intelligent, and Sukadev Goswami has already answered it. So why are they continuing the discussion? So Shonak wants to understand, what are they discussing now? What are they, because their whole 7 days are spent on this. So what's happening? So Sutta Goswami, he asked Sutta to enlighten the sages about the discussions that the devotees were having, i.e. Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami, about Krishna. With every rising and setting of the sun, this is Shonak Rishi saying, everyone's duration of life is reduced, except for the devotees who are hearing about Krishna. So their lives are extended. So we were talking about that last night in the satsang, about how the devotees' lives can be extended by hearing Krishna Katha. Only men who are like hogs, dogs, camels, and asses refuse to hear about Krishna. And you notice he doesn't mention women because they are always keen to hear about the glories of the Lord. Those who do not perform devotional service, those who have ears like snakes or tongues, like frogs, do not hear and chant about Krishna. One who has not taken the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees on his head is factually dead, even though he may be breathing. One who feels no ecstasy while chanting the name of Krishna has a heart of steel. So this is quite an interesting chapter, very interesting chapter. They all are, but this one is another incredible chapter. So that's the end of the chapter, end of chapter 3. Any questions from Naniben before you disappear?
No, I think it's very clear. That's fine.
It's pretty clear. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Did you manage to read today?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We usually read one tonight, 1 or 1.5 today, and the rest I will read tomorrow morning. I plan to continue. Hope I succeed.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we'll all continue on this amazing journey. Okay. Okay. So actually, let's go to Madhusudan Prabhu. Very, very nice instructions. Prabhu, I've put them on. If you can see them. Madhusudan Prabhu?
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I didn't unmute myself.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So these are the instructions, chapters 1 to 3. Obviously, you know, we've read just now that Sukadev Goswami is started to answer Maharaj Parikshit's questions, and by paying obeisance to the Supreme Lord first. So obviously, Sukadev Goswami starts off, but he actually pays obeisances to the Supreme Lord by saying, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So in answering then, later on, he says, that very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. So we should receive this Srimad Bhagavatam in that same mood. You know, we should try to become a devotee of the Supreme Lord. We are on the path, and by the mercy of Lord, you know, we will. And then obviously attentively listen. Sukdev Goswami in chapter 2 starts to instruct Maharaj Parikshit further. So we should use our intelligence and direct our goals and attention away from meaningless things. Example, like, heavenly kingdoms and material enjoyments that are temporary, and being enlightened in that process, endeavor only for the minimum necessities of life, while in the world of names, and put more effort towards spiritual progress. So yeah, as Prabhupada, says also that, what is the point of acquiring all these different material things, and, when we cannot even, like in one of the verses said, even a single moment spent in this path can actually save us, Chapter 3, having described all different kinds of worships for different material benefits, Shukdev Goswami in this verse instructs, that all the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfection of benediction, which is spontaneously attraction, unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, all these different worshippers can achieve different things, like Navi mentioned just now. Like if you want fame, you worship some personality, and then if you want, actually in that list, I was quite impressed that if you want to overcome an enemy, you have to worship the demons. It's amazing. I thought, demons, where do I find demons? They're all around me after that. But anyway, that's what you got to do, but rather than achieving all these different type of things, we can achieve perfection. But if you have to achieve unflinching devotional service, then that can only be by the association of a pure devotee of the Lord. So we have to seek out the association of pure devotees, and by mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, we have the opportunity to associate with them through their Vani. So Prabhupada is not physically present, but he's left a lot of instructions in his books and all that, and that's the Vani form of the Guru. Okay, the instructions.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's really good instructions, by the way. Very, very powerful. Anybody questions? Any comments? Okay.
I think one of the things that trying to overcome is obviously, when we are chanting the Lord's name. There is another instruction which I thought was quite important as well in chapter 1, where Maharaj Parikshit that, the chanting the holy name is also very, very powerful, actually. But it's that part where you said, when the different, if you're not engaged in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like, for example, if you're not listening to the marvelous, this activities of the Supreme Lord, then our ear holes are just like holes of snakes,
Yeah.
And then if we're not using our tongue, then the tongue is just like the tongue of a frog. And then, certainly the heart is very still framed. And that's the last one, which is tough. We chant, but our heart still remains very strong and still framed. That's why we need the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And then it says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, by constantly chanting. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to the stage when one day my steel framed heart actually melts a little bit. I can have tears of joy when I'm chanting, but it's a process anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I agree.
Thank you, Navi.
No, thank you. Very good. Very good. Okay. We can, if there's no more questions or comments, we can go to the Nishinga Kavach. Let's just, where are you? Okay.